Hola amigos, bien ok. Feliz noche, aquí desde Medellín. Am, entonces, hoy es día 26, day 26. Y puede ser que pueda decir ustedes que, ahora yo entiendo todos los verbos, todo está bien, pero no, en verdad no. No, no, hoy eh, eh, hoy he estudiado casi 2, 3 horas, porque tengo la oportunidad, poco más tiempo libre hoy. So, he estudiado casi 3 horas con este tema de verbos para repasar algunos capítulos con el libro. Y en verdad después yo no entiendo más que ayer. Muy frustrante, muy frustrante, en verdad. Pero ese es el tema para hoy. ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué tú qué puedes hacer? Que tienes un día cuando sus estudios no funcionan. So that's our theme for today, day 26. I could be telling you that I understand all the verbs and it's all going fine, but that's not true. I had a chance today to study a bit longer than I would normally do. So I managed 2, 3 hours, I think, actually all in, on revising. I went back and I read over another 3 or 4 chapters of Bregstein's book just to go back over the last couple of parts that I hadn't really understood very well. But by the time I'd finished, I still didn't understand it very well. So a bit frustrating, because I thought it was going okay, but I didn't really make the breakthrough I'd hoped for. So this is our theme for today, because I imagine you two perhaps may have a similar problem. So what do we do? What do we do best when this really isn't working? So we're trying, we're putting the effort in, we've got the time allowed for it, but it's not really sinking in well. We're not remembering it well, we're not feeling we're able to use it. What do we do? Okay, well, first thing, stop. Because there's a point clear when the brain is too full. So put the books away for a bit, go off, do something else. Don't worry about it. I come back to it the next day, really. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to share my thoughts with you on that to help you hopefully find a way through it. So, okay. Now, this is also to remember that the reading in any case, and in this sense the studying using the books, is like the first capture of all the vocabulary and the useful phrases, is to form for us basically a collection of words and phrases that are useful to us, potentially. And it's from this group of words and phrases, all the vocabulary we're able to practice, it's from this group of words and phrases that we can draw to form our dialogues and the really very essential sentences that we're going to use to practice to really improve our fluency. Because remember, the practice of the dialogues we're writing is the thing that's going to be most useful to us. So the vocabulary in the end is very useful, sure, because it gives us a context in the different situations we're going to encounter. These are the words we're going to hear. But they're not necessarily the words we're going to use. The words we're going to need to use and to speak may only be a fraction of that larger group of words and phrases. So, yes, the grammar is important. particularly as I'm finding out in Spanish, because the verbs change so much, to be able to recognize the words at all, you need to understand why they've changed. But with that said, not all the words are ones I'm going to use. So with that in mind, I'm going to go back to my selection of dialogues that I've been working on. And I'm just going to take them one at a time, see if I can improve them perhaps by rewriting them if necessary, maybe adding in a few of the phrases I've come across recently. But generally, I would look at it more like this. I'm going to keep treating the book as a source for vocabulary and useful phrases, much in the same way as I use listening to podcasts or watching television here, again, to give me more exposure to the language, listen to the commonly used patterns, expressions, and the sound in general, which is very helpful. But what I'm really going to do then is go back to the dialogues and work through them again as a form of revision, because it's an easier way to revise because there's less material to go through. But what I'm going to be mindful of now, because now I've worked through quite a lot of the verb tenses, so I'm looking at covering different expressions in the past, in all its forms, and even as far as the future tense. So now when I'm looking at the dialogues, I'm going to make sure that of the phrases I'm using, at least one of them will be one type of the past tense, and at least one of them will be some part of the expressing the future. Now this is useful because then I have a reference sentence of that type of expression. And within the rest, I'm going to try and limit that to maybe 5 sentences I would say, and maybe another 5 that I would expect, perhaps in the form of questions, to be asked. And then around that, I will maybe list off some useful vocabulary. But again, these are words that I'm likely to hear in that context, not necessarily words I perhaps need to use myself. So all in all, when I go back through the dialogues, I'm looking at for a particular situation, and remember we're trying to be as very specific, very detailed in describing the situation. I'm only really looking at maybe 5 sentences for me to say, for information I need to get or to give, and maybe another 5 sentences of types of questions I can predict I'm likely to be asked in that situation. And then, as I said, a few other words of useful vocabulary that I might hear within that context. And that's really it. So I'm going to focus more of my energy on that for the moment, partly because it's a slightly more manageable project, and I think I should see results a little sooner with that. So that should improve my confidence and sense of, okay, look, I'm making progress again. But I'm going to restart the Bregstein book from a bit further back. So I got up to chapter 25, 26. I'm going to take this back to about chapter 20 when it started getting complicated. So I'm just going to revise back through that, chapter a day kind of thing as I was doing. But with more focus on the dialogues particularly, just to kind of reset it a bit and see how we go from there. So I'll keep you updated tomorrow on how I've been getting on. But my message generally then is, if you too have had a day like I've had today with the studies, don't worry. I think it's a very normal part of this process. Step back a bit, take a bit of perspective on it. Don't worry too much. Go back to a more manageable task within the range of things we're trying to study. Just repeat that a bit so you get your confidence back, and then we'll pick it back up and take it on again step by step. So wherever you are this evening, I hope you're having a splendid evening. I'm going to leave the terrace here because I think you may have seen we have some thunderstorms on the way. Have a splendid evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Hasta mañana. Cheerio for now.